He was like, yo, nice to meet you, I'm a fan of your music. When he said that, I was like, wait, what? I was like, I'm a fan of Robin Big. I was like, you like my music?
I used to watch that show all the time.
Being in a relationship can be a challenge. If there's a lack of trust and self-confidence, then there's always that gnawing feeling of inadequacy, especially when you're dating a celebrity. But what about in the situation where you're both celebrities and work together? That's exactly what Chanel West Coast and Rob Dyrdek were when they started dating in early 2009. Today, we'll give you an in-depth look as to how this power couple really is behind the scenes. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you're not entirely aware of who these two are, let us break it down for you. Rob Dyrdek is an American skateboarder that since starting his career has launched a few business ventures in the skateboarding world. He'd also go on to star in his own reality shows like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory and Ridiculousness, with the former being a look into how he runs his business, and the latter basically being a YouTube reaction video series on TV. Chanel West Coast, or Chanel Dudley, on the other hand, is a rapper and Instagram personality, with songs released few and far between. The two met each other when Rob decided to take Chanel into the cast of Fantasy Factory, where they spent the better half of 6 years on the show.
I can be your fantasy. I can be your fantasy. I can be your fantasy.
The first season, Chanel was Rob's receptionist, but when the series was renewed for a second season, she made her official debut as a co-star. The audience was quick to catch on the bubbling chemistry that these two shared on screen, which only served to boost both the show's ratings and Chanel's music career, actually landing her a spot on Lil Wayne's Young Money entertainment label in 2012. This also greatly increased her Instagram influence, garnering the rapper more than 3 million followers over the course of her time on the show. That ends our crash course on the main characters of our story. So let's head straight into the juicy bits, shall we? Friends that donate together, stay together. Contrary to their wacky on-screen personas, the two can definitely come together and do something seriously impactful with their combined assets. If you take Dyrdek's presence on TV, along with his reputation as a professional skateboarder, and pair it with West Coast Chanel's millions of Instagram followers, then you'd have one hell of a PR team. Take, for example, their participation in the All In Challenge that sprouted only last year, which aims to be the biggest digital fundraiser that the world has ever seen, by raising millions of dollars online for those in need. Their contribution to this cause came in the form of an online raffle they set up in May 2020 via Instagram, with their prize being a chance to appear on an episode of the show as a guest. Any and all proceeds would then be donated to those in need. This may be something only people with their level of popularity and reach could pull off. Almost the girl next door. They already work together, so of course they see each other a lot. But did you know that they were almost neighbors at one point? Well, almost is a bit of an overstatement, since Chanel bought a house in Hollywood Hills in 2019, whereas Robert had already sold his house in the same area back in 2016, meaning they missed each other by almost 3 years. Both of these houses were long due for a renovation to give them a modern, sleek look for potential buyers. Chanel's Hollywood house cost her a little over $1 million, with white oak cabinetry, a private balcony, master suite, and even a terraced, fully landscaped backyard. While Rob sold for over $3 million with its backyard swimming pool accessible from almost every room in the house to a patio area. Dyrdek moved out of his house in the hills so that he could bring his family into a more luxurious house that cost twice of what his previous house sold for, where they could still mingle with a number of famous residents, though they don't include West Coast.
Oh my gosh.
Ever heard of MySpace?
Do you have a brother? Makeup and stickers and ponies and MySpace.com!
Most people today probably won't even know what MySpace is, but just to clarify, it was one of the early ancestors of social media websites like Facebook and Twitter. Of course, other sites where you can meet up also existed at the same time, but Rob and Chanel decided to get to know each other over this specific platform. Their interactions over MySpace would pave the way to Chanel getting a spot on Fantasy Factory, which we now know was vital to her career. I randomly met Rob on MySpace, says the rapper, as she recounts their not-so-fateful encounter, since it turns out that Chanel had a habit of adding all the top artists on site, and their closest friends. One of which just happened to be Rob, who enjoyed his status as a professional skateboarder and TV star at the time. After she made quick friends of Rob's other skater friends, they were quickly introduced to each other, and the rest is history. Because that's what a good friend does. One of the perks of being in a business relationship is the unconditional support that you enjoy from your partner, be it simply lifting your spirits with a good laugh here and there, to outright funding and promoting your dream job. And when said partner just happens to be an entrepreneur and television host, those perks suddenly become premium edition. Rob has always been very open about being a fan of Chanel's music, even using her songs on their show to promote her career. Of course, the rapper is filled with gratitude, often giving back to her the only way she knows how to, with exposure. She gives thanks to her friends openly on social media for her millions of followers to see, which also helps Rob's show get more attention. A symbiotic relationship, if you will. Friendships that inspire. It's not enough to have good chemistry on screen. It's also good to have it off screen, and these two definitely have that covered, with the both of them continuing to not only support but inspire each other through the duration of their friendship. Look no further than Chanel's clothing line, LOL Cartel, for proof of this mutual inspiration, with the rapper turning to her co-star when asked where she got this idea from. Of course, since it was inspired by her skateboarder friend, the clothing line is also geared for skateboarder fashion, among other things, with promotional material showing them cruising through the town. With such a mutual beneficial and inspiring partnership, we look forward to any more business ventures these two may draw out from each other. Also, friendships that humiliate. It's no surprise to hear that a large portion of the viewers for both Fantasy Factory and Ridiculousness watch the show for the hilarious antics and wacky hijinks that usually come at the expense of Chanel West Coast. And the two seem to have picked up on this as well, actively trying to place the girl in hilarious but safe situations just enough times to leave the viewers wanting more. These include making the girl a human cannonball, entering her in a children's beauty pageant, and hiring a hypnotist to make her funnier. MTV has also reported that Rob makes it his personal mission to see Chanel squirm, giggle, and get so red in the face she could conceivably be confused for a fire hydrant every episode of the show. It's a good thing then that West Coast has a really high tolerance for teasing and is strong enough to laugh off most attempts to fluster her, though this only serves to get Rob more fired up and tease her more like a backyard bully. And if that's not friendship, we don't know what is. From co-stars to co-hosts. With their time on Fantasy Factory being a huge success, Rob, being the entrepreneur that he is, decided that he would make another reality show before Fantasy Factory ended, but this time with his girlfriend as a co-host from the start. This idea was put into action and gave birth to Ridiculousness, a show reminiscent of today's reaction YouTube channels with funny and wacky videos from all over the internet and the hosts reacting to them. And while not much remained of Fantasy Factory, save for the two, their tried and tested formula of humiliating Chanel for the sake of comedy definitely survived. The skateboarder often teases Chanel on screen with a hint of sexual innuendo, but if you haven't caught on by now, the two are in fact not in a relationship. Rob has been happily married to Brianna Flores with 2 children since 2015. That's the truth about the relationship. It's that they're not dating, nor is Rob cheating on his spouse. This video was meant to clear up any misunderstandings that people may have had about the nature of their business partnership and off-screen friendship, which has continued for more than a decade now. So, what do you think? Feel free to comment down below your thoughts and opinion on this. As always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for more videos just like this one.